Good afternoon. We begin with big news for drivers. The Office of the Minister of Transportation is confirming part of the Gardiner construction between Dufferin and Strachan is set to wrap up within weeks.
The announcement means the project is ahead of schedule by more than a year. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris is live with the latest, and this is news many did not expect.
I was thinking if you were one of the drivers today on the Gardiner, or you have been in the last 2 years, you have to love the sound of this as you're seeing your destination time get further and further and further away from you. The government had said that they didn't really think that the timeline for this project was something they could live with because of the backlog that it was creating on the Gardiner. Remember, this is a project that started in early 2024. It wasn't supposed to be done until 2027 with a slight break next year for the World Cup. And again, the government decided to throw money at the problem, $73 million last summer to expedite construction between Dufferin and Strachan. That includes covering construction around the clock, 24-hour construction. And the government says that's why we're in the position we are today, where you will see those barricades come down, all lanes reopened between Dufferin and Strachan by the end of the month. Now, before you get too excited, there is more construction to come along the Gardiner. This is part of a multi-year, multi-phase approach, rebuilding the Gardiner Expressway. We don't know yet when the next phase will begin, but for now, at least, a little bit of relief coming for drivers by the end of the month. Reporting live, I'm Siobhan Morris. Nathan and Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Siobhan. Another convincing win for the Jays in Seattle last night, the team managing to even up the series.
Max Scherzer fired up on the mound, talking his way into staying in the game. Our Rahim Ladhani is live in Seattle at iconic Pike Place Market with more from fans. Rahim, honestly, if we didn't know any better, at times during that game last night, it seemed like a home game. There were so many Jays fans, loud fans in the crowd.
Hey, Michelle, yeah, there certainly were a lot of Jays fans. In fact, there were more in Game 4 than we saw in Game 3, and they were also louder. And one of the reasons why is they had a lot to cheer about. What a difference the last two games have made in this series, because Jays fans are excited. The Jays players are excited. They're now 2 games away from the World Series. We're seeing a lot of Jays fans not just in the ballpark, but also at famous tourist attractions in Seattle, including the Pike Place Fish Market, which is where we are right now. This is a huge tourist attraction in the city where people come to enjoy, to take in the sights and sounds, and they do some fun stuff here as well. I want to introduce you to Brandon because he's one of the brains behind this operation. Brandon, first of all, let's talk baseball. How are you feeling about the Mariners right now? Because they haven't been too hot lately.
You know what? I'll be completely honest. Baseball isn't something I completely follow. But the Canadians out here, the Blue Jays fans, it's been pretty electric. And it's been fun seeing everybody. Yesterday, we had you guys come out, and it was super fun. We threw a fish. It was great.
How do you enjoy having I guess, a friendly rivalry and a lot of Canadians come down here? What's the experience like for you on the other side of it?
Well, I've grown up here my whole life, and, you know, Canada's our neighbor. We love Canada a lot. Don't care what anybody says. We love Canada over here. It's always friendly competition, so it's great having everybody out here.
So there's a pretty fun tradition over here, and we're going to get to that in just a second. But let's talk about some baseball first, right? I mean, what a performance Max Scherzer put up yesterday. A lot of people weren't sure what you're going to get from the 41-year-old veteran. We had the pedigree on his side, but he hadn't pitched in nearly a month. Well, he delivered. He pitched 5 2/3 innings, 5 strikeouts. He was absolutely electric. And one of the most important moments in the entire game was when John Schneider came out and went to talk to him, and Max Scherzer essentially yelled at him because he thought he was going to pull him, and John Schneider turned around, and the next batter, Max Scherzer, struck out. So I want you to hear from some Jays fans after the game last night, and then hear John Schneider's reaction to that encounter. Take a listen.
I'm almost losing my voice.
I love the Blue Jays, and it was an amazing experience, and I'm going to tomorrow's game. So they're going to win again. I guess I'm their good luck charm.
Yeah, it was awesome. I thought he was going to kill me. It was great. You know, he locked eyes with me, you know, both colors as I walked out. And it's not fake. That's the thing. It's not fake. You know, he has this Mad Max persona, but he backed it up tonight. So it was, you know, the infielders had a good laugh too out there, and he got the job done.
Here, I'm gonna hold the mic.
All right, so here's the famous tradition. It's called the fish throw. Brando, you're gonna hold that out for me? What's gonna happen here? You can talk into the mic.
Our friend Kobe right there is gonna throw this beautiful fish. It's gonna land right in your hands, and you're gonna wash your hands when you're done. I completely believe in you. For whatever reason you don't catch it, we're gonna throw it again and you'll catch it.
All right, here we go.
A little bit closer. One test toss.
down here at the Pike Place Fish Market. Come on down here if you're ever in Seattle. Thanks for the hospitality. We appreciate it. And go Jays. We'll send it back to you.
Whoa, hey there. Lunchtime. He did that swimmingly.
Nicely done.
Rahim's an athlete, though. Not surprised. There will be some changes to GO train service this weekend aimed at balancing necessary construction with getting Jays fans to Game 6. Starting late tonight, trains will stop running between Station and Oakville GO. Passengers can take a GO bus there to connect with the Kitchener line. The closure is in place until 11 a.m. Sunday. Regular Lakeshore West service then runs for the rest of the day.
Meanwhile, the Los Angeles Dodgers are just one win away from reaching the World Series.
It's the times he has gone back to the dugout and then got back up. That's a liner into center field. That's down for a base hit. Here comes Smith.
The Dodgers beat the Milwaukee Brewers 3-1 last night to take a 3-0 lead in the National League Championship Series. Game 4 is tonight. Shohei Ohtani will make his second postseason start.
It's a big weekend for runners. Thousands are getting set to take part in the Toronto Waterfront Marathon.
That also means some traffic tie-ups and detours for those trying to navigate around parts of the core this weekend. CTV's Allison Hurst is live this noon hour with more and a good reminder for motorists.
Absolutely, Nathan. Yes, there's a lot going on this weekend. There is, of course, the Toronto Waterfront Marathon happening, and there's also a number of home games. The Raptors, the Leafs, and, of course, the Blue Jays are all playing at home this weekend. So there's lots to go to, lots to see and participate in. But, yes, it does mean road closures. So here is a map of the road closures expected for the marathon, showing those along the marathon route. There's a bit of a phased-in approach, some starting tonight or early tomorrow until noon, others starting in the early hours of Sunday morning until about 4 p.m. The race weekend is set to see almost 31,000 runners hit the streets of Toronto, and the race director says last year it had a $56.3 million impact on the GTA through hotel stays, restaurants, and creating jobs.
We'll have about 100,000 people out cheering. If you don't run, you must cheer. Download the app, TCS Toronto Waterfront Marathon app. It does everything except run for you. It will help you cheer. And yeah, it's amazing. Tracking runners, maps, information.
I'm excited to run. It's been 18 years since I competed. I have run over the last 18 years, but I have not competed in a race since then. So a little nervous about everything, but I think I've prepared myself well for it.
So yes, lots of road closures tonight. If you have any, or this weekend, if you have anywhere you need to go before you head out this weekend, it is best to check your route and see where those closures are. Reporting live, I'm Allison Hurst. Michelle, back to you.
Great advice. Thank you, Allison. Road closures to navigate, but what about weather concerns? Here's a live look at the city this afternoon. It's a tad unsettled on this Friday. Might be feeling a little bit chilly, especially by the water, but this is nice to say heading into the weekend. We're going to warm up. Don't often say that too much at this stage in October. Lindsay Morrison is here with a look at what we can expect. Lindsay.
We are going to warm up, Michelle. In fact, it's going to be another above seasonal October weekend. So there is that, but condition-wise, things will look and feel a little different than the last few. Here's today. We've got scattered showers, so it is a bit of an unsettled Friday. Temperature-wise, we are currently at 12 degrees. Not expecting to climb much higher from here. We've got calm winds for the most part. Those winds are certainly going to pick up as we make our way through the weekend. And then today at a glance shows a seasonal afternoon high of about 13 degrees. We might reach that high, in fact, into the evening hours, but the chance of showers is going to be with us throughout the day. Tomorrow we enjoy the warmth and some sunshine, but Sunday, I'm sorry to say for all the runners taking part in that marathon, it is looking pretty unsettled. Not just rain, but strong winds too. We'll take you through the weekend forecast coming up. For now, Nathan, I'll send it over to you.
A cyclist is dead after a crash this morning in Burlington. Halton police say the man in his 60s was struck by a vehicle at Appleby Line in the QEW around 6:30. The driver remained at the scene, and so far, no charges have been laid. Appleby was closed in both directions for several hours for the investigation, and police are asking anyone with dash cam video from the area at the time of the crash to come forward. Durham police are investigating a homicide that happened near a mosque in Oshawa.
The mosque confirming today the victim was one of its members. CTV's John Musselman is at the scene this hour with more. John.
Well, Michelle, we just got an update from Durham Regional Police. They identify the victim as 80-year-old Ibrahim Bala. Now, we'll show you some video here. We're on Simcoe Street South near McGregor. In behind me is the mosque where this took place. Police say they were called here around 4:20 yesterday afternoon. Reports of trouble. When they arrived on the scene, they found the victim with obvious signs of trauma. Life-saving efforts were performed, but he could not be saved. He was pronounced dead on the scene. Now, the members of the mosque have confirmed through a statement that Mr. Bala was, in fact, a member of the community here, a dear brother, they called him, but they're asking people to not speculate on what the motivation for this murder may be. We have no information yet from police on what the motive for this killing is. We're hoping to get an update from Durham Regional Police at the top of the hour. The scene here remains sealed off with police tape. Police have been canvassing the neighborhood for any video surveillance. We do know that at least one business has turned over some security camera video. We also know that our cameras positioned all around the mosque as well, so police will be looking at that video. When we get more information on this, we'll have much more on CTV News at 5 and 6. Reporting live in Oshawa, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, John. The search for answers continues after a deadly stabbing in Scarborough. Around 4 p.m. yesterday, police received an unknown trouble call near Danforth and Eglinton. They say they couldn't find a victim in the immediate vicinity, but they soon traced the incident to an apartment nearby. Upon entering, they found a man in his mid-50s with serious injuries.
At the time, paramedic services were with the officers because of the original call and started to provide life-saving measures. Unfortunately, this man was beyond help at the time, and paramedics pronounced the man deceased at the location.
2 people were taken into custody. Investigators are asking anybody with any information to get in touch. A warning, some video in this next story may be disturbing. The trial of a man accused in 2 random shootings back in 2022 began this week.
Richard Jonathan Edward was arrested and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. His lawyers arguing he is not criminally responsible. CTV's Sean Lathong reports.
2 innocent men ambushed in broad daylight, 2 separate random shootings just 48 hours apart. Richard Jonathan Edward is charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. Over the first 3 days of his trial, the Crown showed footage from several surveillance cameras around the city capturing Edward's actions and each of the shootings. According to the agreed statement of facts, the first occurring on April 7, 2022. It's when Edward approached and shot 21-year-old Kartik Vasudev near the Sherbourne subway station just before 5 p.m. Many people in the area heard the shots and called 911. Vasudev suffered multiple gunshot wounds and died of his injuries. Just 2 days later, on April 9th, according to the agreed statement of facts, 35-year-old Elijah Elazar Mahapath was gunned down while walking along Dundas near Sherbourne just before 7 p.m. At the time, police were clear that the 2 victims did not know the shooter and no interaction with the shooter had taken place prior to the killings. Police were able to quickly identify Edward and, upon his arrest, found multiple firearms in his possession. Richard Jonathan Edward was arrested days later, his lawyers arguing that Edward is not criminally responsible as Edward was diagnosed with schizophrenia back in 2010. The trial will continue on October 23rd. Sean Lathong, CTV News.
A 32-year-old Brampton man is facing charges after a dump truck with its box raised struck an overpass on Highway 400 in Vaughan. This happened in the southbound collector lanes near Langstaff at around 2:30 a.m. The box can be seen north of the overpass at Langstaff Road after it was knocked right off the dump truck, which then kept going for a few hundred meters after this crash. No one was injured, but lanes have been closed so crews can assess the integrity of that bridge. OPP say the dump truck operator is charged with careless driving.
Turning now to a search for answers about a multi-billion-dollar provincial government fund.
And concerns it may have sent hundreds of millions of dollars to friends of the governing PC party. Weeks into our reporting, government secrecy is still preventing us from getting the full picture. John.
Minister Piccini, it's John Woodward from CTV News. We wanted to talk to you about the Skills Development Fund and the allegations that you have given millions of dollars to what appear to be your friends.
Look, we're in the business of training, investing in life-changing and saving training, and that's what we're doing.
That was the start of our questions to Ontario Labour Minister David Piccini Thursday morning. The subject, the province's $2.5 billion skills development fund, and where that money went and why. We've reported on millions to businesses who are also PC Party donors. The Auditor General finding political staff overruled bureaucrats and who got nearly $750 million.
Not fair, transparent, or accountable.
Piccini told News 1010 last week he intervened to get a grant to a company. He was photographed with the director of that company in rinkside Maple Leaf seats.
Something doesn't smell right about that.
The NDP complaining that he attended a wedding in Paris for a lobbyist for that same company after it got $7.5 million.
These are millions of dollars going to people you're socializing with.
Look, there's a public registry that's there.
Public registry that shows millions of dollars going to the people you're going to weddings in Paris with?
Look, my personal business, I have a personal life. We all, in our personal life, make friends through our profession, through our work.
Using the lobbyist registry, CTV News tracked about $80 million of these grants that went through one firm, run by Doug Ford's former campaign manager. CTV News has tracked some $100 million in grants that went to unions or industry groups that endorsed the PCs in the last election.
Is this about a political way of greasing the wheels?
Well, I think it's, a bit ironic that in the past people criticized PCs about not having the support of Labour, and now that we do, trying to find any reason. But the bottom line is, and the truth is, that when we're supporting unions on the job site, we're supporting programs all over Ontario that are giving people real skills.
One of those unions, LaUna, telling CTV News in a statement, LaUna's endorsement was not transactional. To suggest otherwise is nothing more than a smear campaign. They got at least $27 million. Many listed grants have no attached dollar figure.
We don't have a picture of where the money went, of what grant went to whom. Why the secrecy?
The Skills Development Fund is changing lives, and the Premier and myself,
but why do that
our
in
entire
secrecy?
government,
Why do that?
Have gone.
Why do that in secrecy? Why not be public about where the money is going?
I've been at almost every recipient to see the life-changing training that's gone on.
After that, his staff intervened, and our interview was over.
And that was CTV's John Woodward. The Prime Minister was questioned yesterday on whether his government would drop tariffs on Chinese-made electric vehicles. Carney's facing pressure from Western premiers to make the move so China would then drop its tariffs on canola products. For the latest, let's bring in CTV's Jeremy Sharon live in the nation's capital. Jeremy, the Prime Minister stopped short of saying he'll remove tariffs on Chinese EVs in exchange for the removal of tariffs on canola. Why is he hesitant?
Yeah, look, Nathan, it's because he's facing pressure on both sides. As you've touched on, the Prime Minister is facing pressure from some prairie premiers, Scott Moe in Saskatchewan, Wab Kinew in Manitoba. Their provinces are massively negatively impacted by the 100% Chinese tariffs on canola products. Their canola farmers in their provinces are being hit hard by this. And so they are pleading with the Prime Minister and the government to do exactly what China has offered, what Beijing said it would do, which is to remove the 100% tariffs on Chinese EVs that Canada has imposed in exchange for China to, remove its tariffs on canola products. But on the flip side, the Prime Minister is facing pressure from Ontario's Premier Doug Ford and the auto sector here in Ontario to not do what Beijing is asking them to do. The auto sector says that this would simply be hurting one sector to help another sector at a time when the auto sector is being negatively impacted already by the trade war with U.S. President Donald Trump. And so, the Prime Minister is faced with pressure from both sides. He's also faced with an auto sector, a North American auto sector that is changing in the face of U.S. President Donald Trump. He has made it clear that he is prioritizing the U.S. auto sector, not the North American auto sector. And so while these tariffs were imposed to kind of protect the North American auto sector as a whole, that landscape is changing. The Prime Minister also, has to worry about the fact that he's looking to bolster trade with China. His Foreign Affairs Minister is in China right now meeting with her counterpart. And the Prime Minister is expected to meet with the President of China before the end of the year. So he's balancing all of these things that could impact or be impacted by this decision to either stay the course with the policy as it stands to tariff 100% Chinese EVs, or to reassess and determine whether or not it would make sense to drop. So I'm not surprised to see that the Prime Minister is not ready to publicly commit one way or the other at this point.
All right, CTV's Jeremy Sharon in the nation's capital. Thank you.
Anytime.
Meanwhile, the federal government is detailing plans it says will further strengthen border security. The Liberals are introducing their revamped border security bill today. It includes a campaign promise to fund the hiring of 1,000 more Canada Border Services Agency officers and boosting the recruitment stipend for the first time in 20 years. It will increase from $125 up to $525 a week. There will also be changes to benefits, which will allow frontline workers to retire after 25 years, regardless of their age. The new legislation is in response to concerns the original bill was too intrusive. It included new powers to access personal information and search mail.
Donald Trump will host Ukraine's president at the White House this afternoon. Volodymyr Zelensky is seeking a long-range missile system he says is desperately needed. It would allow Ukraine to strike deep into Russian territory. Zelensky says it would help compel Moscow to take the U.S. president's call for direct negotiations more seriously. Trump had shown an openness to selling the Tomahawk cruise missiles to Ukraine in recent days, but appeared to downplay the prospects following a phone call with Vladimir Putin yesterday. Trump says the U.S. needs Tomahawks too and can't deplete its stocks. He and the Russian president have agreed to meet in Budapest, Hungary, in the coming weeks.
The King and Pope Leo XIV will pray together at the Sistine Chapel next week. It is seen as a historic step towards unity between the Church of England and the Catholic Church, and will be the first time since the Reformation that the heads of the two churches pray together. The service on October 23rd will focus on the protection of nature and recognition of the King's support of environmental causes. The state will also feature a series of meetings and services emphasizing the warm relations between the two churches. Lindsay.
So we've got one more game in Seattle today. The Jays taking on the Mariners in Game 5, and this one's happening a little earlier in the day, around 3 o'clock local time. So here's a look at what we can expect weather-wise. Mainly sunny skies and 15 degrees at T-Mobile Park in Seattle. Our forecast daytime high in Toronto today, a little cooler, 13 degrees with a few showers. But if you're going to be venturing out to any Jays watch parties, maybe late this afternoon or into the early part of the evening, here's a look at what you can expect. Bring the umbrella with you. Tomorrow we won't need the umbrella. We might be back in a t-shirt, but then it's going to be wet and windy for Sunday. A full look at your weekend forecast is coming up after this break here on CTV News.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Made in Canada.
Never in a million years would I thought it would come from Canada.
Exported to the other side of the world.
As a cartel, they'll be looking at what is the easiest way to get it to New Zealand.
A drug crisis.
Are you okay?
Yeah. Fueled by cartels and biker gangs.
Can I just explain to you?
No, you can't. Cough. I'm everything they think I am and much, much worse.
We hunt for the source of the Canadian meth pipeline.
Get back in. He's obviously trying to lose us.
And CTV National News' investigative unit W5 returns next week with an explosive one-hour special called Cartel Canada. In this blockbuster investigation, Avery Haynes exposes how Canada has become the top exporter of meth into New Zealand and Australia, following the pipeline and the devastation left in its wake.
And W5's Avery Haynes joins us with more. And Avery, we've certainly heard the U.S. president talking about how Canada, alleging Canada's flooding fentanyl below the border. But I think a lot of people would be surprised to hear about Canada being a major exporter of meth to the Pacific. What's going on there?
It really is an untold story. And I was flabbergasted when I was looking through the seizures in New Zealand and seeing Canada at the very top of that list. The two largest busts of methamphetamine, and we're talking tons, in New Zealand, both came from Canada, one disguised in beer, another disguised in maple syrup. But in a 4-year period, no other country on earth supplied more meth to New Zealand than Canada did.
Wow. Anything being done to stop this? Do they even know this is going on?
That is the million-dollar question. This is a massive industry, and what we know is that Canada is both a transit point, so cartels are sending meth from Mexico up through the States into Canada and then across to New Zealand and other Pacific Islands, but we're also a major producer. The RCMP has shut down 12 different meth labs across Canada in the past 2 years, including these super labs that are sort of university-grade labs that are producing meth, not for Canadian consumption, meth for export. And the reason they want to get it to New Zealand, because why would you? If you look at a map, you know, you'd think it'd be Southeast Asia, and it always was. Now they're recognizing they want to get it there because meth is the most expensive anywhere in the world. $500 a kilo in Mexico, $10,000 a kilo in Canada, $300,000 in New Zealand.
Now, amid all of this, you had a rare interview with the RCMP's head of the Organized Crime Unit. What did they have to say?
I found it really quite disturbing, the footprint of the cartels in our country. We know that the Canadian government designated 7 foreign cartels as terror organizations. And I think a lot of people sort of felt at the time that that was just a sort of a following in the footsteps of what the U.S. had done. What he told me, the chief superintendent of organized crime told me, that the reason they were declared terror organizations is because each of those cartels is active and actively committing crimes in this country.
No, you can't help but notice that the beer cans, a beer that I've never even heard of, sort of they're putting it in the beer. How are they doing this?
And this story is the most tragic, and it's where we sort of launched our investigation from. This is a 21-year-old who was given free beer by a manager at work. He thought it was beer. Honey Bear beer does not exist. And he took one gulp, and he died from multiple organ failure because it wasn't beer in there, it was meth. And when police in New Zealand raided the storage unit, they found tens of thousands of cans of some beer and some meth, and that was given away, and which is what caused his death. And so what we did in our investigation is reverse engineered that shipment. We found where it landed in New Zealand, and then we looked at all the shipping data, and we looked at the people who consigned that shipment from Canada, and that's our investigation.
Wow.
And stellar investigative work, and it makes you think this can't keep going on. More has to be done. We appreciate you shining a spotlight on this. Thank you, Avery.
Thank you.
And you'll want to keep watching the 1-hour special, Avery Haynes Investigates Cartel Canada. It airs on CTV and CTV.ca, the CTV app, and the CTV News YouTube channel. This is on Saturday, October 18th at 7 p.m. Don't miss it. And now we're joined by Lindsay to talk about weather. And yes, it's unsettled, but doesn't matter as much, I think, when it's a Friday. And by the way, the Jays are, you know,
the Jays won, the Leafs won, 41-year-olds are rocking. Everything is going well.
Everything's going well, especially for the 40-plus crowd. No, we're so happy. It's a happy Friday. We do have some wet weather to get through today, and we have some wet weather to get through on Sunday as well. But between those 2 days, I think you're going to like what's in store for Saturday. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm Injury Lawyers. You don't pay unless they win. We had a beautiful sunrise this morning. Look at that. You know what they say, red sky in the morning, sailors take warning. And yes, this was out ahead of the cloud cover rolling in, and we've already had some showers in and around sections of the GTA. As we progress through now the early part of the afternoon, we have showers looking to move back into the GTA. So here's what that looks like right now on the satellite and radar. Depending on where you're joining us from, it could be dry where you are, or you're just starting to get some of these sprinkles of rain moving back in. We'll widen things out a little bit so you can see that the rain is quite heavy right now around Georgian Bay, northern end of the Kawartha Lakes as well. And then as we widen out further, I want to show you the scope of this system, because what we're being impacted by today is the warm front. This is the warm sector. Saturday is going to be very mild. Sunday will be too, but then eventually a cold front swings through. It brings us back to reality temperature-wise for next week. It's also going to bring us a decent dose of rain and some pretty gusty winds on Sunday as well. So there's around 2 p.m. today. We expect another shot of rainfall here in the GTA, followed by some dry periods. We're not going to rule out the possibility of some wet weather into the evening hours. Might be more the west end of the GTA. But in any case, bring the umbrella with you before you head out for your Friday evening plans. Okay, here's Saturday, a mostly sunny day, a little bit of cloud cover sprinkled in there too, but it's going to be warm. It's going to be pleasant for spending some time outside. And I encourage you to spend time outside because I don't know how many more 20-degree sunny days we're going to get as we progress through the fall season. There's 7 a.m. Sunday, so this is when the marathon runners are going to start going in the GTA. It looks dry to start, but before many are finished running, I should say, it's going to be raining and coming down at a pretty good clip. Through the afternoon, we'll get more rounds of wet weather into the night and through the day on Monday. Over the next few days, it's possible that we could pick up 20 to even 30 millimeters of rain in some areas. So we haven't really had a fall storm quite like this yet this season. So we are due. Those winds could be gusting upwards of 50 kilometers per hour Sunday as well. It's 12 degrees right now in Toronto. Tonight, we're going to fall to a low of about 10 degrees. That is warmer than normal. It's certainly warmer than the last few nights. Tomorrow at a glance, 20 degrees, well above seasonal. Again, that cloud cover, if there's some in the morning, it is expected to clear for the afternoon. Daytime highs right around 20 degrees in most parts of southern Ontario, maybe upper teens in others. This is your 7-day forecast. So the weekend is warm. Sunday, we're still up around 21 degrees before that cold front cools us down. Monday and Tuesday, back to reality, highs of around 16 and 15 degrees. And then 13 by Wednesday, Thursday, chance of showers following us right through the middle of next week. That's your look at the weather for now. Stay with us. CTV News. We'll be right back.
Some 8 million Canadians live with chronic pain, and new therapies are offering more options for relief.
But many say stigma and lack of information are still issues they deal with. We get more now from our health reporter, Pauline Chan.
It was a foot injury 11 years ago that started Aaron Adams' experiences with chronic pain, defined as pain lasting more than 3 months.
When that happens, the nervous system, there's changes to our nervous system.
Pain signals continue, often even after an injury has healed. For 13 months, Aaron's foot remained swollen until she was diagnosed with complex regional pain syndrome.
I've been to physio, been to chiro, been to massage therapy. I was an inpatient.
And while she appreciates everyone did their best to help, nothing brought relief until she saw Dr. Zamir Pirani 2 years ago.
Chronic pain is an epidemic. So 1 in 5 Canadians currently suffer with chronic pain. It's a silent disease.
And he says in seniors, the rate is more like 1 in 3 people, with the numbers growing as Canada's population ages. Aaron says stigma is also high.
It's very derogative because they think they can't see it, right? Well, you walk fine. I don't see you walking with a limp. What's wrong with it?
Pirani's clinics, one in Toronto and now one in Hamilton, offer a holistic approach to chronic pain management. They do procedures like the nerve-pulsed radio frequency treatment Aaron receives, where X-ray guided bursts of radio frequency disrupt rather than destroy the nerves. Medications are another important factor for patients, but equally important are other psychological therapies.
We know that cognitive behavioral therapy, psychological interventions, managing their depression, their anxiety, their loneliness, their isolation, these all have a massive magnitude of effect for patients suffering with chronic pain.
We do things like breath work and humming. And I mean, breath work can really change the acidity of your blood dramatically. So by blowing off a tremendous amount of carbon dioxide, you make the blood more alkaline.
Dr. Monty Sawala says this change allows the nerves to essentially reboot. Their in-person supportive programs are covered by OHIP. The goal is not necessarily to eliminate 100% of the pain, but to educate the patient and reduce the pain so that they can go on to live a full life. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
The Ford government is planning new legislation making it easier for healthcare workers from other provinces to work in Ontario. Right now, doctors, nurses, respiratory therapists, and medical lab technologists from other provinces and territories can work for up to 6 months while they register for the proper professional bodies in Ontario. The updated rules would expand those as of right privileges to 16 more health professions, including dentists, optometrists, and pharmacists. The proposal would also advance work on automatic recognition of doctors registered in good standing in other regions. Meanwhile, the province says it's increasing annual funding for long-term care staffing to a record $1.92 billion. The Ford government says the cash will support boosted hiring at those facilities over the past 4 years. Officials say as of the spring, long-term care patients across Ontario now receive the targeted 4 hours of direct care per day on average from nurses and personal support workers. That works out to an increase of 36% from 2021.
As people of all ages navigate the growing availability of artificial intelligence chatbots, Meta is outlining new safety tools for teens. The social media company has joined other tech giants in rolling out a number of AI tools, and that includes several digitally generated characters that users can interact with through Meta platforms. Starting next year, parents will be able to turn off some or all of those one-on-one chats on their teens' accounts, with the exception of Meta's main AI assistant. Meta says parents will also get insights about what their kids are chatting about with the characters, but won't get access to the full conversations. The changes come as the social media giant and AI chatbots in general face criticism over potential harms posed to younger users.
Rock legend Ace Frehley, the original guitarist for Kiss, has died. Frehley's family says he died Thursday at age 74 in New Jersey following a recent fall at his home. Frehley co-founded Kiss in 1973 and became famous for his spaceman persona. He left the group in the early 80s, but went on to launch a successful solo career. In 2014, he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with Kiss. Band members Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley say they're devastated by Frehley's passing. All right, we've got more news after the break. Stay with us.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
A new survey of Canada's banks shows there is a growing divide between Canada's Big Five banks and smaller mid-sized institutions.
And while many people are generally satisfied with their banking, there are growing concerns about excessive fees and a lack of customer service. CTV's Pat Foran has this consumer alert.
Canada's Big Five banks dominate the financial landscape with more than 80% of all bank customers, but some smaller mid-sized banks are outperforming them when it comes to customer satisfaction. Many people say when it comes to their bank, they don't have too many complaints.
It's the one my parents had when I was a kid, so I still have it, and it's all right.
I've been with them for a while, and I really don't get anything for the loyalty.
I don't have to pay fees.
They're very helpful. I lost my debit card a couple months ago, and they helped me get it back and refill my bank account.
When it comes to the Big Five Canadian banks, RBC was named #1 in customer satisfaction for the second year in a row.
We are seeing that RBC has the highest satisfaction among the Big Five banks.
On a 1,000-point scale, RBC came in at 611 points, followed by CIBC, BMO, TD, and Scotiabank. Customer satisfaction declined 7 points with the Big Five banks over the last year, but rose 5 points with mid-sized banks.
With the mid-sized banks, customer satisfaction is rising with things like online chat, email support, online banking, branch service.
When it comes to mid-sized banks, Tangerine was #1 with 683 points, followed by Simply Financial, National Bank of Canada, Desjardins, and ATB Financial. Tangerine Bank has been #1 in the survey for 14 consecutive years.
Tangerine does everything well that you would expect an online-only bank to do well, but they also do very well at telephone service and resolving problems.
The survey did find banks both big and small are doing a better job when it comes to problem resolution, but not when it comes to opening new accounts and the helpfulness of bank employees. The survey found 7% of customers switched banks last year due to poor service, high fees, or promotional offers from competing banks. Pat Foran, CTV News.
An Ontario family is calling for stricter enforcement of air passenger protection regulations after challenges they faced on an Air Canada flight this year.
When the family of 4 was given seats on a plane, their baby was assigned a seat apart from the family. CTV's Adrian Gabriel has the story.
A sun-kissed Florida vacation ended in a cloud of uncertainty. The McLaughlin family's journey home to Toronto began with a 5-hour flight delay. Then the family of 4 learned that their 18-month-old daughter, Margaret, who they call Molly for short, had been placed on standby.
I said, how could she be on standby?
Eventually given a ticket, the McLaughlins then realized their toddler had been assigned to a seat all by herself, more than 6 rows away from her closest parent. Greg McLaughlin claims Air Canada flight attendants then refused to ask customers to switch seats, leaving the family to figure it out with passengers on their own.
You are a very large company that operates airplanes. You should know that children are on the plane, and you should make sure that they are safe, full stop.
Regulations state that children under 5 should be in a seat adjacent to their parent.
Hello, Greg. This is Amanda from the Canadian Transportation Agency.
Following a months-long investigation by the Canadian Transportation Agency, the CTA left this voicemail for the family last week.
We want to inform you that the investigation has now concluded and no enforcement action will be taken at this time.
I don't know why the Canadian taxpayer is paying for that agency. I'm not sure who they're protecting.
The maximum fine Air Canada could have received is $25,000. Consumer advocates believe the lack of action highlights a systemic issue.
The Canadian Transportation Agency and the government are serving the airline's private, financial, corporate interests instead of the public interest of passengers.
In an email, the CTA say their investigation found that the infant was seated with her family for flight AC 1659 and that no infraction to the regulations was found. According to her father, the only reason Molly ended up seated with her family was because her parents and passengers fixed the issue, while Air Canada staff refused to help. An email from Air Canada in part states that the airline has since taken measures to reinforce compliance through improved seat assignment technology. Air Canada eventually offered the family vouchers for future travel. The McLaughlins have declined.
For the family, they say this was never about receiving compensation. They never asked for vouchers. They simply wanted Air Canada to be held accountable. In their case, they believe that's something the Canadian Transportation Agency has failed to do. Adrian Gabriel, CTV News, Mississauga, Ontario.
Ian Thomas joins the class of 2025 as a member of the Canadian Songwriters Hall of Fame.
CTV's Andrea Case caught up with the 1974 Juno winner for Most Promising Male Vocalist of the Year, who turned out to be all that and more.
For 60 years, Ian Thomas has been making music in a way he never thought would happen. Not making a living, he quit his first band and got a full-time job producing music for artists including Oscar Peterson, while quietly working on a solo project on the side.
Had that first album not taken off, I probably would have had a very happy career producing music at CBC. I produced concerts with Gene Krupa, and God, I even produced Quincy Jones.
Thomas has also spent a career fighting for the rights of other musicians and was a former president of the Canadian Songwriters Association.
I guess you could say the music business was based on, I think, criminal elements at the beginning of it. And boy, I don't think you can get any more unhuman than unbridled capitalism. So did what I could in that window and made a lot of enemies for it. Nobody liked the boat being rocked.
All the while writing hit after hit, including Painted Ladies, Pilot, and Right Before Your Eyes.
To know that some of your music has been important to people, that somehow over the years I've inadvertently become sort of part of the soundtrack of some people's lives, that's just a really warm feeling. It's equally the same when somebody else covers one of your songs. And so the privilege there, of course, to my way of thinking, is that, wow, somebody has invested their career in your song. And, you know, there's a lot on the line there.
He will join the class of 2025 to be inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame on Friday at Meridian Arts Center. Andrea Case, CTV News.
Congrats to Ian Thomas, still doing it, still sounds great.
Oh, yes. Weekend-wise, we're heading into one, and there is a lot going on in the city. And weather-wise, there's something to like, definitely on Saturday.
I think so. Saturday looks fantastic. There is a lot going on in the weekend weather forecast, too. So let's get right to it. We'll recap what you need to know, beginning with what's happening today. A few showers creeping their way back into the GTA. So, yeah, a bit of an unsettled end to this work and school week. Overnight tonight, a low near 10 degrees. That's warmer than normal, and it's warmer than the last couple of nights. No risk of frost tonight. Tomorrow's high, check that out, 20 degrees. Cloud cover is going to clear. Enjoy the sunshine in the daytime hours because Sunday looks a little different. It's still going to be warm, but it's going to be wet and it's going to be windy. We will remain unsettled right through the middle part of next week, too, with temperatures cooling as the week goes on. Nathan and Michelle.
Thank you, Lindsay. And that is it for CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and the whole team here, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Nathan Dowd. And be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6. Take care.
See you.